Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? All right. Let's go ahead and start with a word of prayer. Lord God, gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the opportunity to be here. We thank you for your word that we get to get in and see about your wonderful miracle and grace given through the people in Genesis, especially, Lord, today as we look at the flood. Lord, let us be about your work this day and this week and just be able to touch people with your love, with your grace, and with your mercy this Reformation Sunday. In Jesus' name, amen. How was everyone's week? Great. Okay, wow. Yes, early votes. So much easier, so much nicer. Did it the second day, and Miss Lori says make sure that it all goes smoothly. Some are waiting 8 hours. Well, not here in Sealy, they ain't. Yeah. So, did you guys find out if you can, if you're going to be able to? Haven't tried. They said that they moved here after the deadline to register, but they have their driver's license. So I don't know. Do you know, Lois?
I called the tax assessor collector and tell them they can look it up. Actually, you go online and look it up to see what county you live in. Because I've called Belleville so many times when I work, so many people have it.
Yeah.
I might go down and give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that or call these, they'll tell you. They can look
I
it up.
tried to vote back in Iowa after the meeting, but they said, I said, I'm moving. Oh, where are you going to be living during election day? I said, well, down in Texas. Well, you can't vote.
I haven't really been.
Yeah.
Check it out first.
If you lived in Louisiana, they'd let you do that.
They let you do it twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone watching from Louisiana? Just kidding.
What's that LBJ that said vote early and vote often?
Yeah. What was it, LBJ? I don't know. But
Duval County.
all right. Anyone else? I thought it went very well yesterday. Yeah. A lot of folks, a lot of food. Went well. Nothing else. Any questions from last week or from where we have been? You guys are just very talkative. All right. All right, well then let's go ahead and start. I think we got up to verse 5, but we'll back up to verse 1 of chapter 7, just to remember. Oops, hold on. Where is that? There we go. All right. Now it's up on this screen. All right, then the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I've seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the heavens, also male and female, to keep their offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground." And then this great line that is repeated several times. And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him. All right. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came upon the earth, and Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood, of clean animals and of animals that are not clean, and of birds and of everything that creeps on the ground. I'm not keeping up on the screens, am I? On the ground. 2 by 2, male and female, went into the ark with Noah as God had commanded Noah. And after 7 days, the waters of the flood came upon the earth. All right, anything interesting there?
Couldn't that be that just in 1 week all of these animals?
Well, yeah, the timing is interesting because, towards the beginning, it says, go and, verse 2, you go and take all these things, and then verse 4 it says, and in 7 days I will send rain upon the earth. It says, so go into the ark, and in 7 days it's going to happen. But then, where is it? In verse 10, and after 7 days, the waters came upon the earth. All right, so go into and after 7, but then it says in a little bit in verse 13 what we'll get. Well, let's continue. Where did I leave off? In 12? Rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and on the very same day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives and his sons with them entered the ark. So how did that work? Because it seems to say, look, go in here, and in 7 days I'm going to send the floods. And then it says it started to rain, and on that day they went in. So how do you reconcile that? Yeah, Dave? That's what I think too. Yeah, I think they went in, and it took these 7 days to get all the stuff in, and then once the last, then they all came in together for the final time. But so they were in and out doing all the loading. Yeah, I think it took 7 days to load all these critters. Yeah, in 7 days it seems very slow. But if God's the one doing the bringing them over, then they're mostly directing traffic probably at that point. All right, you giraffes, I got a special place for you over here. What else? The clean and unclean. Yeah. When did they find that out? How did they find out what were clean and unclean? Because those words hadn't come yet. So obviously, at some point they had to be. God had to communicate to them what clean and unclean were, and we're not told when that is or what the even differentiation is at this point. We're not told that until later. Yeah, Dave. Well, Moses, yeah, so he certainly knows. So, yeah, and obviously the audience that he's writing to will know at that point, yeah. Yeah, I just wish it would have been nice if that had been communicated. But there's a lot of things that I wish God had communicated that he decided I don't need to know. Man, y'all are just worn out or something. I don't know. Fell in 40 days, 4 nights. Yeah, well, yeah, that's one of the why. Why did the insects? Why did the Lord bring the insects? I guess because the bats and all the others had to have something to eat too. And the moles and gophers, man. All right, well, let's... That would be my understanding, yes. Well, we'd say, okay, yeah, and we've made a comment, difference between microevolution and macroevolution, change within a species and change across species. And there's certainly, I don't have any issue with changing across or changing within species. It's that changing across species that I have an issue with. But wow. Okay. Yes, that's a great issue. Yeah. So when we look at that in 600 years, we'll look back at 11. On that day, the fountains in the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heaven were open. So you get the visual. Water's coming from everywhere. It's not just raining. It's coming from below. It's coming from above. You talk about a tempest. That's kind of the thing that you're looking at here. Every bit of water that's around is making its way to the oceans and being a part of this. Everything's stored up for anywhere. Yeah, see, we don't know. I don't think that there's a mention of rain before this. We talk about the firmament above the earth, in the very part of creation. So was it just a temperate climate where plants and stuff didn't need the rain yet? And this is the first example of that. God opened that up, and they've never been fully shut. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, but it also says they were open from the storehouses above too. So yeah, they're coming from both directions. Previously, did it come from below? I don't know. Yeah, Dave. Yeah. That's certainly. Perhaps. Yeah, I mean that's. Well, yeah, there's that too. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think that it was before that point that there was the rain. Yeah, like we consider rain. I don't. There were rivers. So how did the water get to the top of the rivers? Yeah. Well, or maybe it was coming from below at that point. I mean, don't.
I don't see why there wasn't rain. They had crops, they had trees.
But if it's a very temperate, lush environment, humid environment, you wouldn't need as much rain. It is speculation. There's definitely speculation because none of us were there. Okay. Where are we? 14? Is that right? And they and every beast according to its kind, all the livestock according to their kinds, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, every winged creature. They went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2 of all flesh, in which there was the breath of life. And those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him. And then I love this line. And the Lord shut him in. They didn't close up the ark. They didn't, the Lord closed it up on them. He's like, all right, that's it. It's time to go. Afterwards. Yeah, and we'll see how long it took. The common misconception, of course, is in the flood. They went in, it rained 40 days and 40 nights. A little bit later, they got out, maybe a week later or something. No, we'll see how long it took before they got out of this sucker. Yeah, it kind of says it twice, but there's a lot of times when the repetition is made. Could or bats or I mean mosquitoes, or roaches. All right, let's look 17. The flood continued 40 days on the earth. The waters increased and bore up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the face of the waters. The waters prevailed so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole heavens were covered. That is a staggering amount of water. I mean, if we assume the same height of the mountains now as then, that's a phenomenal volume of water. That's hard to comprehend. On mountains, yeah. And not enough for people to just put in their pocket, and take a trek up and drop some.
That's because when the mountains were formed, there were low levels that were pushed out.
Well, sure, yeah, you're going to have some of that as mountains are formed.
I mean, not the Mount Ararat, it's really tiny stuff. Or not Ararat, ever.
Okay.
So it would have been a sea at one time.
All right, so, well, then that would greatly reduce the amount of water that would be needed, wouldn't it?
Timing is
There's a lot of things that are issues for us, sure. Yeah. What do you, wait, the 40 days of rain? Oh, 40 is a number? Yeah, I mean, 40, there are several numbers that are considered kind of holy special numbers. You get 1, you get 3, you get 4, you get 7, you get 10, you get 12, you get 40. And there's some others here and there, but each of those carries some significance on things. But this is the first time that we hear of 40 days, and so we have Jesus being tested for 40 days in the wilderness. So you have a number of things like that where you see these kind of holy special numbers pop up, and this is the first time we see the 40. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is the first time that we see that. Yeah. So you have one, you have one God, one alone. You have 3, you have Trinity. 4 is usually a number associated with things that are earthly. And then, of course, you have things that are holy, the Trinity plus 4, and you get your 7 of perfection. You get your 10 commandments. You get your 12 tribes of Israel, your 12 apostles, and then your 40. So, I mean, there's some weight that comes with each of those things. Where are we? Ma'am. What's the verse again? 2 verse 2:6. Yeah. So not rain as we know it. Yeah. Yeah, it could be stream or mist. Yeah, the word there, aid, mist, vapor, could be stream. That's less often translated that way. Yeah. Branson. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. People that you saw just the day before, and you know what's coming. Yeah. Yeah, screams and everything else. Yeah. Would not be a pleasant experience. Trauma. No, that's a good point. Yeah, with God shutting them in, it's not like could they have opened it up? That's. Yeah, it's kind of like, what God has joined together, no one put asunder. What God has shut, no one opens. What God opens, no one shuts.
Talk about a roller coaster of emotion for those people. They had all this work ahead of them. They had to leave their friends.
Well, they just got done with building the sucker, and they're not going to get any relief, being on the water. Yeah, leave all your friends, all your family, all your stuff. Yeah.
And then the joy of being one of the ones saved. I mean, that.
The joy of being one of the ones saved, or I imagine some survivor guilt and stuff too, and that's not an easy thing to be chosen by God sometimes.
I wonder how long it took masses to realize, and this water's rising, and so keep rising,
Yeah. Well,
They may not have found this is something different.
yeah, I can tread water, not this long. Yeah, I get the more of a sense of almost like a tsunami type of it just water gushing everywhere. I don't think there's time to just like it's coming up. I think you're going to be swept away.
What was the feeling around here with the hurricane that hung around here?
Harvey was the Harvey.
This thing, for me, I grew up mostly in West Texas, so they weren't very much in my life. But this church went and helped some a school, or where did we go? Anyway, between Beaumont and Winnie on the coast, and the water, the track was 18 miles inland, just drift. And to realize that I'm driving this 18 miles and this is all under the water was just unbelievable.
Yeah, the volume of water during Harvey, where they say the earth sank several centimeters, because of the trillions of gallons of water that was. I mean, how long did I tell you? Being in the Houston area, Eldridge was closed. We had some major arteries to be able to get to work. The major arteries were closed for so long. And so you had to leave way, way, way early to be able to get somewhere in any reasonable time. And finally, when Ben was able to go back to school, it took Jen like 2 hours to get him there. Because she had to go this circulus around because there were all these individual islands that had been created, and there was only a little bit of roads to connect these islands and supplies. And seeing Bunker Hill, Eldridge, and the amount of water that had come up over there, even after they had released, the reservoir, that was just staggering. Yeah, Mary. Not contained by anything. Yeah. Yeah. No, it probably took quite some time. Yeah, I think they were probably thrown about quite a while. And, I mean, obviously, at some point, it's going to equilibrium will take place and the waters will smooth. But it would have been rough sailing for a long time, and they didn't have any Dramamine. No stabilizers either. Yeah, I mean, you're talking just a box on just floating wherever it goes. Yeah, Dave.
When we think about the violence of this event, there's theological and archaeological evidence that agrees to the flood story. And most people, people who don't agree are coming up with the same story. And there are other civilizations.
Yeah, that have flood accounts. That's true.
And if the Mediterranean Sea, as we know it today, was just inland the lake.
Hmm.
An inland sea. And that bridge from Gibraltar,
Yeah.
bridge that was there, it broke through. And it was 11 feet below sea level, this inland sea from the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean poured in, and it clogged out. So it was incredibly violent. And I think it quick as far as, it happened over periods of hours. When we talk about the biblical account of water coming up from the ground, imagine when you get that flooding. And
Yeah. Shoots straight up, yeah. Or like anyone who's had bad flooding and their septic or their sewage system, it starts coming back the other way. I mean, to think of that kind of stuff happening everywhere in a short period of time. You think about when you see pictures of dams breaking, right, and the volume of water and the destruction, and that is nothing compared to this. Yeah.
I mentioned closing the door to humanity out there and just watching. When some of us went on a mission trip to Haiti, they took us to a feeding station to feed for the food for the poor. We went in the back door, and it almost looked like a cafeteria. I mean, here's giant pots with some stuff, and here's a little serving line, and it's all laid out in here, and people are sitting and eating. And I don't know, did you go there? No, that was you weren't a couple of but they said, we kind of said, this is very nice. What is it? And they said, well, maybe all of y'all don't want to come, but come back here to the back door where they come in. And they had police on the outside and inside. We opened that door.
There's a flood of folks, yeah.
Just 1,000 people, most of them little grandmas.
Coming in to get the food, yeah.
Crying out, let me in, let me in, let me in. And it just breaks your heart. And imagine, of course, they probably didn't realize that this flood thing was going to be the end.
I think they knew. I think they knew, but
That massive humanity that they got to be still done. And after we shut the door, and the guard said, every one of those people will be fed. Will stay here until everybody gets their food. But yet they're so worried and that hungry
yeah.
that they're pushing, little grandmas pushing an elbow and knocking people's hands.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that it's a ridiculous thing, and that it is not a pleasant story. No. Yeah. Although yeah, it was. Yeah. Although I don't know if you saw when was it Thursday? We had the beautiful rainbow. It was the full rainbow across the whole. It wasn't a partial. It wasn't. It was full, and that's what we got to keep our mind on. During the destruction and during the terrible times is God's promise and His grace. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a foreshadowing of Judgment Day. Yeah, well, and when He says, "Never again will I destroy everything in this way," He doesn't say, there's not going to be destruction again, right? But it's just not by flood. It'll be in different ways.
The other interesting thing about when you talk about the kids' artwork, blood, and stuff, when that was Haiti that we were at, and our after-in-law, they took us to the edge of town and they said, okay, this side of the street is Christian, this side of the street is Jewish. And over on the Christian side, they set out the tops of barrels, and they made little arcs and all the little elephants and giraffes were sticking their heads up. I took a big breath, and then I walked across the street and looked. And at first, everything was the same. Oh, there's a little arc. And you were looking at the animals, and they were not normal animals. They were weird.
Oh yeah, from
Not normal animals.
their gods. Yeah. That's a,
And the little chill came over.
yeah.
But first sight, it looks the same.
All right, let's continue. Verse 14? No. What time? 17. All right, the flood continued 40 days on the earth. The waters increased and bore up the ark. It rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and increased greatly on the earth. It floated on the face of the waters. The waters prevailed so mightily that all the high mountains of the whole earth were covered. The waters prevailed above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits. Cubit, remember, is about 18 inches. So you're talking over 20 feet from the highest, 20 feet plus. All flesh died. That's another one of those understatements, right? All flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, livestock, beasts, all swarming creatures that swarm on the earth, and all mankind. Everything on the dry land in whose nostrils was the breath of life died. He blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground, man and animals and creeping things and birds of the heavens. They were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left and those who were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. That's a long time. Yeah. Yeah, but it's going to be a whole lot longer than 150 days before they get out. So it's not just rain for 40 days and 40 nights. The waters keep coming and are going to be a major issue. Anything? All right, we'll keep going. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. That's a line of grace right there. God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heaven were closed. The rain from the heaven was restrained, and the waters receded from the earth continually. At the end of 150 days, the waters had abated. And in the 7th month, on the 17th day, now remember, this started in what we would, the months are different, so it said the 2nd month, but if just for consistency, we'll use our dating period instead of translating back and forth. So, 2nd month, now it's the 7th month. So, 5 months later. At the end, at the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountain of Ararat. The waters continued to abate. The waters continued to abate until the 10th month. All right, so already 5 months up to this point, and then they start receding. It rests on Ararat until the 10th month. On the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. This is no pleasure cruise. At the end of 40 days, at that point, the end of these 40 days after these 10 months, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made and sent forth a raven and went to and fro in the waters until the waters were dried up from the earth. Then he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. The dove found no place to set her foot, and she returned to him in the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand, and he took her and brought her into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove from the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening. Behold, in its mouth was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. Still, he waited another 7 days and sent forth the dove, and she didn't return to him. I imagine that the crew was getting pretty restless, and he's still waiting. He's like, came back with an olive branch. There's already vegetation back there. Let's get out of here. But no, he waits again. Imagine being shut up for this long. Well, now you can't see below. Yeah, you can't really see much of anything. I mean, there weren't portholes, like there are in some of the fairy tales either. I don't think. There was the top. There was a little opening that he had created, for the birds to be able to get out. But yeah, you're not. There's not like a Lido deck or something where you're going up and you're looking out.
How do we
Well, the months were usually in Jewish line, a year is about 360 days, and there's 365. But the months, right? Yeah, they were based on the moon, and in fact, yeah. So incidentally, that's why because Jewish calendar is based upon lunar stuff. That's why Passover and Easter and Monday, Thursday, and all of that. That's why it's movable, because it's all based upon the moon. So if you ever wonder why, Christmas is on one day, so why can't we do Easter? Well, it's because of Passover is movable. But the months, I'd have to look, specifically on how many days they incurred, but it would be similar. If we would assume around 30 days. But in any event, you're talking at least 350 plus days for the whole thing. So, long time. So why did Moses wait so long? Why did Noah wait so long? Because we're waiting for verse 15. Then God said to Noah, "Go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you." Yeah. So you have to wait. If God sets you in, you wait for God to tell you to go out. Yeah. 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 You don't want to go out too soon. Yeah. So there was time for the waters to come down and vegetation to start growing back. Yeah. It's mind-boggling, really.
Well, there were millions of people then, right?
Well, not now.
No,
Not anymore.
I know.
But yeah, before.
I'm just thinking what a horrible thing it would be to get out of the ark and find,
Nothing.
well, all of these people and animals that are dead.
Well, I wonder how much of the bodies would be left at that point. Well, I imagine sharks and some others took care of a lot of it, but and just regular decomposition. I mean, yeah, but it would be quite the sight. Where were we? Verse 18? Yeah.
In 13 it says, and Noah removed the covering
Yeah.
of the ark and looked.
Yeah, so so I think there was a wooden top that he could slide or move to some aspect. I don't know. Those of you who have been, what did you see? Yeah, something sliding. Yeah, yeah. Think Reliant? No. What's that? Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have bilge pumps. Yeah. All right. 18. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. I find this just kind of funny and interesting because I wonder how they were staggered. Because I'm thinking you want like the gazelles and stuff to have plenty of lead time before you let out the lions. I don't think you want to let out the lions first, who can then lay in wait because they know what's coming later. So just the logistics of how they let them out. I wonder about that. But God brought them in. Maybe he dismissed them in an orderly fashion too. I don't know. We're not told that. But yeah. After that long, yeah. You imagine that they probably each, they That doesn't say they were, but they probably each had a little private area within the ark where they had to retreat to, just to not kill each other. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there was a stench. Sure.
No. Wait till we get to verse 21.
Okay, we'll get to verse 21. Oh, yeah, okay, but that's not in the ark. But Pat, you had something? Yeah. Right. I think there was something to an extended hibernation of most animals during this time. Yeah, I think that would make sense in a lot of aspects, and for care, I think that would help out tremendously too. But it would be a challenge, except for if rabbits were clean, then they'd have a eating supply for some time. Yeah, but having Hassenpfeffer every time. That's true. Well, of course, yeah. Hibernation it does seem to solve a lot of the issues, but yeah, or some of the. I think there probably was offspring of some of the clean animals, probably too. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We're not told. But yeah, hibernation would solve some of that issue too. There wouldn't be. And the animals, yeah. I mean, there are some of the animals that are still going to need to be fed, yeah. But how many and to what capacity, don't know. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I wonder if there was a little hydroponics area too, or something, for the weird people that eat vegetables. They All right, where are we? 20? Is that right? Then Noah built an altar to Yahweh and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. I mean, that's the Thanksgiving, And when Yahweh smelled the pleasing aroma, he said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man, and the intention of man's heart, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done in this way. That's the first time that I know of that altar. I don't think we saw it before this, but we saw offerings, but not an altar like this. It doesn't mean that there weren't, but I don't recall it being mentioned before. Dave? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, and I can still smell a little bit coming in here from yesterday. And that is, I got home yesterday, and Jen, she came up to me and she smelled my shirt. She goes, "Oh, you smell so good," because my shirt had the smell in it. I was like, yeah, it's good stuff.
And the fact that they were able to know a sacrifice cleaning animals had to be reproduction, or you
Already would have eaten all of them, huh? Yeah. 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 It wasn't any, yeah, unfortunately no bacon wrapped steak, but, still good steak and some good barbecue. Yeah, the pleasing aroma is something that you see in offerings all the time, and that's such a great part of the personification of God, that the aroma, and frankly, it's why in Orthodoxy and some of your churches you have the full bells and smells. You have the incense that goes up and down because it's supposed to engage your spiritual walk with God should engage all aspects of your senses, and that's one of them. So you get the censers that are thrown up like this with the smoke.
Maybe today you get green in one wood, and walk through.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and that's why we have service before lunch, because gets us all ready for it. All right. What verse were we at? Pleasing. I will never again. Okay, 22. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Any other reflections on those? I think we're going to stop there, but any other comments? Because we covered 2 chapters today. Yeah, Dave. What's that? But not, yeah. But, yeah. The sun will rise and it'll be another day. Yeah. It's true. He's got this. Yeah. 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 No matter how bad we think things are or will get or whatever else, God's grace remains every day. Oh, yes. Unprecedented. Yeah. 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 Well, and Solomon, he kind of kicks that to the curb too, right? There's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. It's all the same stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that gets to an interesting aspect, thinking it usually gets to our own self-importance to think that this is the first thing that's ever happened and I'm the one to experience it. How important am I to be in this time or to be the only one? And it's one of those things that within depression, it gets people because they think that you feel like you're the only one who knows. You don't understand what's going on. I'm the only one who knows what's going on. Well, yeah, I'm not you. I'm not the only one here. But say, someone who's lost a spouse or lost a child or something else. There are other people who have done that and can help walk with you through this. You're not alone. You're not going through this all by yourself. And yet through all of this, there's people to walk with you, and through all of this, there'll be a tomorrow. Yeah, Dave. Whole different time frame. Yeah. Well, yeah, because we talk about the infiniteness of God and outside of time, and all of created history doesn't even register, for God. It does. I mean, you can't make a dot on the timeline for God that represents all of created history. Yeah. How does that work? Yeah.
Okay, so before Noah, was there winter, snow? I mean, were there seasons?
Were there seasons? That's interesting because there are some theories that say, even some of the tilt of the earth, that some of the flooding affected some of that and some of the seasons. I don't know if I get it into that aspect. I think there were seasons, whether they were the same in the way that they're experienced afterwards. What does it? How would that change things and seasons and environment to have a firmament that doesn't exist in the same way? I mean, it had to be catastrophically different. To what extent? I don't know. But I think there were seasons. I think there was certainly cold and hot. Sure. Yeah. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? To have a geyser of snow. It's an interesting visual. Yeah. For a year. Yeah. And they couldn't order Amazon. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole different deal. Yeah, with some of the smell in the ark, they might have wanted masks too, or gas masks or something. Nothing else? All right, we'll close it there, and we'll start at chapter 9 next week. Let's go with the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you with favor and give you his peace. Amen. Thank you all, and you all have a wonderful week. And we are having Reformation/Mission Sunday. We're having a couple of guests that are going to be talking about their missions this morning. I think that's going to be very cool. So I'll see you over there, and don't forget about voters meeting after church too. Thanks. God